Hey team, welcome to Inside the Movie Photographer with Jason Boland. At the moment, I'm on location in Prague for my latest film, and I woke up to this morning, so I'm pretty stoked. And I've got my little ZFC, my Nikon, and I'm filming on that at the moment. And I'm going to take a little wander around in the snow. I've been doing it out of the snow as well, but I've mainly been using my 28mm 2.8, and I've been shooting on Nikon monoprofile. Which is really cool. And the good thing about the monoprofile is that it works in the Nikon software, so you can convert it to a JPEG when you're shot in RAW and then open it in Photoshop, and it retains that look that you personally set up. Or if you don't want to go for the black and white, it comes up in color, so you haven't lost anything. You've got two cameras in one, and you know, I've got mine set on a red filter. I don't know too much about it, but you know, I have fun. I know that the red works for me, but you know, you can use yellows and greens and blues, and you know, it just changes the color, and well, change the color, yeah, gets rid of the color, but it changes the mono profile and gives different tones in different areas, and you know, does different things to, you know, a bright blue sky and stuff like that. So anyway, we're going to share some photos and we'll have a talk through them. While I'm in the snow though, just so you know, I always try and shoot snow and anything liquid, to be honest, at a slowish shutter speed when I'm doing action. You know, that means like 1/60th or even 3/20th, just so that you get a little bit of movement through the snow. If you don't, it's like pinpricks and it looks horrible. So even when we're here, you can't use it's too slow a shutter speed, because then you don't get the snow. It's just like a continuous blur with it. So you know, here probably, because the snow's just a little bit of a flurry, probably around a 50th of a second for me. You know, maybe go a little bit more, 100th, 125. But you know, you got to experiment for yourself and see what works. But yeah, so here's Prague. Look, the castle's in complete whiteout, so I'm really not going to get much up there yet, but we'll see how we go. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the photos and a little walk around.
Well, team, I hope you enjoyed that. I tell you, that look on my face was dead set real. I was so excited. I woke up that morning and there was just snow everywhere. Now, the sad thing is, every other snow day here, I've been at work. So it was pretty much the only one that I got. Now, today, it's all about the ZFC. Most of you guys know what I do for a living. I'm going to show you a couple of shots that I make during my own career. I'm not a YouTube entertainer. I'm a working photographer. I'm lucky enough to be a Nikon ambassador from Australia, and I get to test cameras like the Z9 and the D6 and the 6.2 and stuff like that. But this one is all about the Nikon ZFC, this little baby. Now, I'm a bit in love with this camera. I don't know whether it's the nostalgia from when I was first a newspaper photographer back in the 80s, and you know, I shot with a Nikon FT2 first, and then FM2s and FMs, obviously. This camera reminds me of that, but it has everything of the modern times. And the beauty of this camera, more than anything else, is that I think it's made to shoot manual. It's you know, you've got all the dials up the top here. I'm going to have to put my glasses on just quickly. You've got all the dials up the top here, and one of my friends who's kind of famous, actually, he bought a camera that only shoots film, and he bought it. It was like $8-9 grand, and he's like, comes up to me and it's like, Jace, is there a auto setting? I can't find the auto setting, and there's no auto setting. So then he ended up buying a ZFC. So anyway, you can see here, you've got all the, you know, you've got all the manual and auto settings here. I have mine set on manual permanently. I think the only way to shoot on digital is manual, especially when you've got a beautiful camera like the ZFC. It's you know, you've got this massive EVF, right? And you can see the exposure real life. So basically, you and the camera are the machine. You are the light meter together, and you're going to learn light. That's the only way you're going to learn light with this. Now, this is really a chat through for enthusiasts and people just starting out with their first mirrorless, I guess. I'm going to go quite into some settings, but most of all, I'm going to show you photos, and we're going to have a look at what's the difference maybe between someone buying a $10,000, $12,000 mono camera or just setting it on a Nikon profile like I do. So I'm going to show you all those settings. I'm going to take you through the camera. As you've seen here, you know, you've got you've got the compensation dial there. You've got the shutter release there. Here you've got the shutter itself. Now you just press the button in the middle and you turn it around, and you can change that. Now I have it set to a third, back on the third there, which means that I can use the rear dial and the front dial for aperture and for shutter. I find that easier for me to do. And then over here we have the ISO. Now this is great because you just press the same thing, just press the middle and you turn the ISO around. And it's just exactly like my old newspaper photographer days back in the 80s with a beautiful, beautiful little camera. Now, actually, I'm going to just change this lens because it's easier to handle if I have this 28 on. And there you go. And this is a sensational little lens. Now, I started off just with this lens for the ZFC, and then I fell in love with it so much I started buying other lenses for it. So I have the 14 to 24, which I pretty much only use for the ZFC, and I also have 24 to 70 f4. And then I've got all my other lenses, which I don't really pull out for this. I like to keep it compact, and I think compact like that is really cool. Now, you know, on the back, obviously, you've got the screen. You turn around for flippy for, there you go, turn around for flippy for selfies and blogging and stuff like that. The only thing, though, about this is I'm a big fan of the virtual horizon, and you can't get I can't get the virtual horizon when I flip it around. I can when I bring it back around the rear of the camera and I'm looking at it. So if anyone's got any way for me to fix that, let me know. The only other thing about this camera is I'd like a percentage on the battery. Everything else is absolutely spot on where it should be. And that's one thing that I'd like on my Z9 actually, is to be able to turn that around and just protect it a little bit more. But I don't really need that. Anything else on here for me to show you? You know, you've got the slots over here. You've got the mini HDMI. You've got the microphone, and you've got the USB-C. I'm a big Hoodman guy, and I don't use my card reader anymore. I just use a USB-C cable. Same goes for my Z9 and my Z6 II, which we're filming on at the moment. And I also charge through that. And if you're away on holiday, you can charge your ZFC with one of these, which is actually pretty cool. I still always recommend having a spare battery. That's a smart thing to do. But apart from that, all good. And the other thing I carry around too is a platypod, because they're so good. It's like you just sit them there. I use them for all my action cams because it's a little sled, and if it gets hit by something, it just slides out of the way. It doesn't fall over. So I really recommend the platypod. This is the Ultra, which is the small one, and my Z6 II is sitting on the Platy Max, which can take my Z9 and a 70 to 200, and it's as stable as. They're really, really cool. All right, let's hook into some snow photos. I've got a series of lenses. I've got the 28 2.8. I've got the 14 to 30 f4. I've got some from the 24 to 70 f4. I've also got some from the 24 to 120 f4 and 200 2.8. Hey, let me give you a quick tip here. This is going to blow you away. All right, so with these new lenses, the S glass, which, as you know, is just amazing. When you put your lens cap on, make sure you can read Nikon, and it's on. Doesn't come off. But if you try and put it other ways, it's It's really difficult, but you put it straight up and there you go. Good tip that. I learned that the hard way. It took me about 5 minutes when I was testing the 14 to 24 in front of a whole bunch of people, and they were just looking at me like I was an idiot. Anyway, that's about it. I'm going to show you around the rest of this camera, the menu system at the end of this video, and show you just the things that work for me. I'm going to keep it simple because I think this is a camera that should be kept simple. I don't think, I think it should be, personally, I think you should be using it on manual. Like I said, that is the way that you are going to learn to read light. If you shoot it on aperture or shutter or program, you're not going to learn anything about light, and photography is all about light. Hey, but if you just want to pick it up and have it around your neck and as a really cute piece of bling, well, you can do that too. And as you know, you can change the color. You can send it into Nikon service and they can change it into any of the other colors that they've got. I like the black just for nostalgia, but actually the gray looks really cool. And I like the pink too. That's really rad. Anyway, let's hook into the photos. We'll show the menu later, and I hope you have fun. Don't forget, it's not my job. I'm not a street photographer. I'm not a landscape photographer. This is just a dad on holiday with his family. My real work is on a film set, and you can go and check my Instagram out to see my creds there. I'm a photographer. I'm a working photographer. It puts all the food on the table. YouTube does nothing. It's just me to be able to share, and I guess I like to speak too much. All right, let's get into it. So here you go. I'm just going to show a couple of shots of mine just so that you know that I actually do know my way around the camera. And this is Charlize Theron in Mad Max Fury Road, and then Matt Damon. I've done a lot of films with Matt, mainly the Bourne films and also Green Zone, and amazing guy, lovely to be around, love working with him. Now, who doesn't love Jason Momoa? Shot Aquaman with him. I've been lucky enough to shoot DC films and mainly Marvel these days, and lots of Disney. Mad Max Fury Road again. These were crazy days, I got to tell you. I have so much fun doing this stuff. So walking around Prague was a bit of a walk in the park, so to speak. Matrix, I did the first 3 Matrix films. They were incredible fun. Chris Hemsworth is another guy that I work for a lot. Best boss anyone could ever have. I'm on my 4th straight film with him actually, and which is why I'm in Prague at the moment. And then James Bond, I've shot the action on the last 3 James Bonds, Spectre, Skyfall, and No Time to Die. And No Time to Die, I got my first James Bond poster, so that was pretty rad. I was pretty stoked about that actually. They're a lot of fun. These are the ones that I get to use my rigs on a lot. So that's really quite exciting actually. And Mulan, I love Eastern philosophy. I love the Asian films that I get to work on over the years. This is another Disney film. Ife Lu, one of the most incredible actresses or actors that I've ever worked for in my life. I just loved working on this film. It was incredible. And there's Scarlett Johansson. That's from Ghost in the Shell. That's, you know, what we call a behind the scenes. A lot of photographers these days, well, a lot of young photographers that are a bit green, I think, refer to our job as BTS. We're not BTS. We're the unit still photographer. So I don't know where that came from or why they think that is. BTS is actually the EPK guy, who are the people that do the video and those behind the scenes. But this is what is called a behind the scenes photograph, or a BTS, whereas this is not. So I don't know why they call it BTS, but they got it wrong. And don't you guys get it wrong. Unit still photographer. This is my great collaborator, Corey Creed, world champ. Him just going crazy across a dam. We had a lot of fun doing this, and this was, he's on fire, just so you know. And this was when I was testing out the D6, and this is testing out the Z9. This camera blows me away in every way. This was in the dark. The sun had basically gone down, and I'm focusing on him in the dark off the ramp through the sun, and it just held him every single time. Anyway, enough about the Z9 and other cameras. We're here to talk about the ZFC. this little baby. I love it so much, and I reckon you guys should go out and get one. And there's this is us being a little bit crazy. I did get a little bit of a clip on the shoulder on one of these, but you got to have an exit. Don't try and do what I do. I've been doing it for a long time. It's a lot of fun, but you come to one of my stunt workshops instead and you can have a crack. So let's hook straight into Prague. So now with the ZFC, I only shoot it on black and white. So I have a black and white profile set up, and I don't shoot it. I don't shoot the monitor or the EVF with color at all. It's a lot of fun. I got to say, because I feel like I've got instant black and white film. But the beauty of this is, right, is that, as I said in the intro, is you can set a color profile or a black and white profile, so to speak, a mono profile. But if you open it up in Photoshop later, it will retain the color and you can do all your normal grading. But in Nikon Studio, for example, it will retain those settings. And then all you have to do is you have to convert it to JPEG or TIFF through the export up the top. And then you can bring it into Photoshop to make any other final tweaks. But I love this camera, and I'm going to take you through. I mean, look at the detail through here. So this is the 14 to 30, 24. Now, what is the detail on that? That is, oh yeah, 10th of a second f4, 21 mil, 1600 ISO. Now, it doesn't have IBIS, as everyone keeps reminding me, but that's 10th of a second. So sorry, you can handhold this camera without any problems whatsoever. Here we are at the beautiful town square, and you'll see the famous clock there on the left in Prague. And you know, I mean, look at the color there. That's just blows me away. This is again the 24 to 70 f4. So that's 3200 ISO, 40th of a second. So, you know, again, it's quite something else. And back to the snow. Now, look at that. I was just so stoked. This is when I first woke up and I was like, oh my gosh. And then after that, the castle got all blacked out. Now, this is what I mean about shooting with the mono. I can change it to the color in the Photoshop, but it's just really cool to actually shoot it seeing the black and white through the EVF and the monitor. And there's you know, there's just something about snow and black and white. It just, they kind of go together like Vegemite and cheese, I guess. And the other thing, like I was saying before, with snow, it's important to get the shutter speed right. You know, 80th is almost too slow. 100th is almost too slow. 125th to 160th is actually really good. You just get a tiny little streak through a face. You know, you can go super long and it'll give it a little bit of a foggy sort of a look, but it's something that you need to experiment with yourself on those days, so that you can figure out what works. You know, some days it's super heavy snow, as you know. Other days it's just little flurries. This one I love because it looked like the seagull was doing its business on top of his head. But, you know, no disrespect there, but I thought it was a bit funny. So here you go. We've got a bit of wind there. This is a bit slower, I think, with the shutter. It's there you go. That's a 60th of a second. So that gives you an idea there. That's actually quite a nice flurry through that frame. It'd be great if it was a dark sky or something like that. You'll see snow loves to be backlit, and you know, it loves to be over dark subjects. This is a really cool spot over the other side of the bridge, and you can get down there with the birds and, you know, the ducks and the swans and stuff like that. And it's a really beautiful view back towards the tower. And, you know, as you can see, it's snowing there. And you know, like all things, it's like underwater photography. The closer you get, the less obscured the snow or the fog will be. So, you know, it really creates some great effects. Now, just remember, I keep saying it, I am just a regular dad walking around with a camera. I don't even think I have my platypod. It's just hanging around my neck. I'm just seeing something and making a photograph. That's all I'm doing. So don't judge me as being a Peter Lick or anyone like that, or a Rocco and Cora, or any of those incredible photographers, especially the Nikon ambassadors. Go and check them out on My Nikon Life. And of course, I love Moose. He's one of my favorite American ambassadors. But you can see here, you've got, I love these trams. You've got some nice lines. You've got the castle sitting in the background. This one here, I think I brought this up to like 1/25th. Yeah, it is. So that's 1/25th. So you can see the difference in the snow. Like I said, I'm a bit obsessed with the trams around. Now here, I brought this one down to 1/80th. I wanted to get a little bit more snow going through. Now, when I first looked at it, it looked fantastic because it was all crisp and clear in color. And then when I put it into Photoshop to do that, it just didn't work as nicely. And obviously I was looking at it in mono through the lens or through the camera, the EVF, and it looked great. And then, but to the eye, it looked amazing. And when I got back, I looked at both, and my fave is 100% the mono. More streets, a little bit of Banksy. I don't know. I wonder if that is a real Banksy. I don't think it is, but it looks pretty. But it looks pretty cool. I like that there. And then more snow. I mean, this is very central in pretty much in the middle of the river. A lot of people will tell you not to do that. Do whatever you want. It's your photograph. Make it what says to your heart. For me, the enthusiast is the very heart of photography, and my hat goes off to all you guys out there, because I learn a lot from you guys. I judge a lot of competitions for Nikon, and I see a lot of amazing photographs which I would never have thought to do. And the only reason why I'm able to do the photographs that you're seeing here today, testing the ZFC, is because of the stuff that I've learned from checking out all your work. So again, look at that snow, the way that it drips. It's just absolutely beautiful. The quality of these lenses is astounding. This should be the 14 to 30. Yeah, 14 to 30. I mean, look at that. It just holds all the way through. Now that's my mate Sam down there on the left, Safety Sam we call him, because he's in control of all the safety on the film sets and gets us all home alive at night. Now, I always like to throw a little bit of stuff into my frames when possible, and the trams work for that. I mean, the actual photograph was realistically it's of the church up on the castle, and Sam was there. I took him down here and I said, Sam, this is a really good spot, come down and grab a shot. So he's up there, taking his photograph, and I stood back and I wanted to get him and tell a little bit more of a story, because as photographers, that's what we are. We're storytellers. I don't look at myself as being an artist. Some of us don't. I'm purely just a storyteller, and to me, you've got the story here. It's clearly COVID, people going home on the tram. Then you've got a tourist down there taking photograph of the church on the hill. And then when he'd finished, he came up and I said, "Yeah, it's a cool shot, right?" And he goes, "No, mate, there's all wires and cables and stuff in front of it." I'm like, yeah, but that's what makes the shot just something a little bit different, and there it is. It's just something that's a little bit more urban. Not everyone lives up there on the hill. There's other people that live down here like this. And so it's the contrast of two lives, I guess. Right. And then I was so bummed that night because I was hoping that the snow would stick, but as you can see, it didn't. So I didn't really get much out of it. This is, I believe, the 24 to 70 f4, and yes, it is. And that's, see again, 15th of a second. You can hand hold it if you have a good technique. I don't shoot this whole under thing like this. I shoot like that, and then I lock my elbows in, and then sometimes I will if I really have to lock it in, I will like this. I don't have the platypod on it, of course. That's just there because I'm going to leave it sitting around so I can pick it up every now and again. So this is on 70 mil. So, I mean, look at the quality of this. That's why the 14 to 30 is such a good lens for this camera. 14 is a 21 mil. Now, I've got another video on here with an absolute dead set legend, Tim Page, who was one of the seminal conflict photographers of our time. He talks through his exhibition and his collection 21, where he shot everything on a 21 mil lens. Now, 21 mil lens is very famous from the old days. So your 14 to 30, there you have it. 21 mil lens to 45 mil lens. So that's a pretty good coverage. Now, this one, obviously, like I said, is 24 to 70. So that would be 36 to 105, and it's beautiful. I mean, look at that. It's just sharp all the way through, and just a little bit of street stuff. Everyone loves a wet down. Got to be happy with that. People on the way home, and this is still in the snow. Just a little bit of flurry going on. I'm not happy with what I've been getting so far. I need to take my platypod out, and I need to do some really slow shutter and stuff like that and see how I go. I've picked some spots. I want to do a sunset. Work's got in the way a little bit, but I do love my work, so it's not like I really, I have one motto: it's make the job work for you, don't work for the job. So, I just worked 14 days straight. And I was told, you can't work 14 days straight. You're going to be exhausted. It's like you need it for mental health. And it's like, what do I do for a job? I'm a photographer. And it's like, yeah, but you still need to have your mental health days down. You need to look after yourself. And it's like, if I'm not here on set, photographing stuff blowing up, I'm going to be in the city taking photographs anyway. And I'm an action photographer. I'd rather be doing the action stuff. So finally they gave in and let me work 14 days. And I mean, look at this. This is, the quality of this camera and these lenses, the S-Glass just absolutely blows me away. There's no light there. What have we got here? So 14 to 70, so there you go. It's converting it for us, 85 mil. So 60th f4. It's a beautiful, beautiful lens. Now, one thing to remember with the S-Glass too, at these small apertures, it won't matter, but if you're like 8, 11, 16, 22s, if you don't have the rear element clean, that can be a source of your little dust bunnies, not necessarily on the sensor itself. Of course, you can get some on the sensor. I recommend getting other people to clean it for you. I've done it before and scratched the sensor because I'm not that clever. But yeah, so keep in mind, not every little dust bunny you see is necessarily going to be on the sensor anymore. It will and could be on your lens. So yeah, blows me away, the S-Glass. And being so close to the sensor, because it's like, I think it's like 20% closer. Someone else will have to pick me up there. It means that the light has less to bend. So that's why you're getting so much better contrast and probably aberration and stuff. I'm no scientist. I'm a photographer. Like I said, I turn nearly everything off on my cameras. You're going to see that when we go through the menu system, and you'll be like, "What's the point? Might as well be shooting film." That is the point, because I'm in control. You've got to be the boss of your camera. Don't let the camera be the boss of you. That's why I'm going to keep banging into you. Shoot manual. I even find that turning off the high ISO, that actually seems to sharpen up a camera, because there's no in-house processing going on. I like a little bit dirty noise, and I'm talking a minor amount of noise, but it just seems to be sharper. It mightn't be your look. You can always fix it later in PS or a different program, but yeah, I like to turn everything off, and I'll show you through that later. I like this one just because the light was picking up the snow as it was dropping, and then who doesn't love that that church? Is beautiful. And this is an early morning. I nearly walked home from this. I got up and I wanted to have a look at the first light, and I walked over the bridge and I was walking around, and then I came, then I turned around, and the sky was starting to light up, and it just did this, and it's just, I mean, look at look at everything that's going on in Prague to start with, all the towers and all these silhouettes. It's just begging for shots like this. Um, I this is my fun of photography. My work is fun, but being able to be on location in these beautiful cities and seeing some things for the first time, it really brings out your photography. So if you're going on holiday, get yourself a proper camera, get yourself a couple of lenses, definitely get like 28 2.8, even faster, get the 1.8s, or definitely the 14 to 30. That is a sensational lens for holiday. As I said, the 24 to 70, there's so many. It's never ending. You can just keep on buying and buying and buying. Now, this is a shot which I've been trying to perfect, and I haven't been able to do it. Everyone's laughing at me because it's all out of focus, except for that one bird. I kind of like it. It reminds me of the old days, a bit bohemian, I guess, with Prague going on in the background. I'm going to do a few more of this, but for now, I kind of like it. This is a 40th of a second with the 28mm 2.8, and that's the other thing too. If you want your focus to perform super fast with these cameras, put it on 12-bit, take it off the 14-bit. I don't think you're going to see a difference in the color, but you will see a difference in the performance. It's like a turbocharge. I'll show you that later when we get in there. Now, this is through glass, and I love this. I just love all the browns and the textures. I mean, have a good look. This is an amazing little sensor that Nikon have put in the ZFC, and it really is stunning. And this is one of the few that I did change over to color in Photoshop. And again, look at that. I mean, this should be the 14 to 30. Yeah, 14 to 30, 40th of a second f4, 21mm. See, there's that 21mm again, eh? So yeah, look, I mean, look at the detail again. It's just beautiful, beautiful lens. Just, I don't know, there's something about photographing churches, eh? And then, again, look at all the color that's going on here in the stained glass. That's one thing too. I think a lot of people, when they're photographing stained glass, is they don't necessarily expose for the actual image in the glass, but that's the important thing to do. So, here, although you've got varying tones, the main thing that I'm interested in is the faces and exposed for that. You can see it. You're looking through an EVF. It's live. You can change on the fly. You're going to get to learn it very, very quickly. It's really quite amazing. Now, this I love. Oh, there's my little family, Hunter and Maria, over there in the corner. This was this is in one of the churches outside of Prague, and we went upstairs, and this is the back of the organ, and it was like a film set. I've never seen that before in my life. It was like, oh my gosh, it's a facade. And so yeah, there's the back of it. It's I don't know, it amused me. And this was this little character down here you can see on the right. And again, look at that. Do you need a $12,000 mono camera? I don't know. I mean, what are we looking at for a ZFC? Just over $1,000, and then some lenses. I know what I'd be getting. I don't need a $12,000 camera to shoot mono, and it's certainly not as beautiful as this. I mean, again, look at the tones, the golds. There's a bit of smoke going on in there. These are basically all straight out of camera. Just with my profile settings. You can change the profile settings again, like I was saying. Even inside the black and white, you can You can set for more sharpening. You can set it for vivid. But again, just remember they only work in Nikon Studio. You then have to convert it to JPEG or TIFF to retain those settings and then open in Photoshop. But you can bypass Camera Raw by doing that. So you can do all your raw settings in Nikon Studio. It's a really powerful tool. The only thing I wish Nikon would bring back from View NX and the previous versions was on the top. They used to have this email, and you could select the images, press email, and then select the size of that you wanted to send them. Whereas I find with sending it on my MacBook Pro, you only have small and large or actual size options, and the difference between large and the actual size, especially when you're shooting with a Z9, is absolutely massive, to the point that you can't even send one image. So Nikon, if you're listening, could you please bring back the email option in NX Studio, because it's really good. Oh, this is a library up near the castle. Absolutely beautiful. I've never seen anything like this before. I mean, that's incredible. That's the other thing too, you know, when you're making photographs or walking around on holiday, I mean, this is obvious to look up, but so many people just take a photograph and then that's it. Now, when I get there, I will see something, I'll walk all the way around it, sometimes without even making a single frame, and then, unless of course the light is just popped out at me and I have to get it. I mean, like, if you see the light, shoot it, of course. But look up, always look up, look around, walk around structures. It was one of the things that I was taught as a cadet photographer in the 80s, was don't just look at one thing, walk around it. And then you can select your lens size and things like that. And this is a very famous library, actually. And I mean, look at it, it's absolutely beautiful. And there you go. Of course, you got to do the old family. The camera doesn't just do non-people. That's my little family, my wife Maria and Hunter. Hunter's going to be pretty angry that Mr. 14-year-old was put in one of my videos. And that's the team. That was that's the church that from inside had the back of the organ with all the setups, which was pretty crazy. So that's my little travel team there. And that's a castle. Hunty, when we got to Prague, he was on the search to find his favorite castles, and this was one of them. He was dictating where we were going, so to speak, and it was a lot of fun. And here's my wife in Český Krumlov. This is one of the most amazing towns. It's like a baby Prague. If you come to Czech Republic or Prague and you don't go here, it's only like an hour and a half out of town. You're absolutely crazy. And that's for Hunter as well, because he's going to be even more angry to see this one. So Charles Bridge, I've got more Český Krumlov further down, so I'll show you there. This is I found this. Well, I thought I found this. And then I was going through some hashtags for Prague, and apparently this is like one of the most common places to photograph the bridge from, which I was disappointed about, but I kind of like that shot. So it's in here just to show you, you know, discover it on your own. Don't go looking at hashtags before you go to a place. Go and visit everywhere and find it on your own. And then maybe, you know, if you want more places to go and look at, then look at the hashtags and find a few places to go to. But, you know, discovery on your own is a lot more fun. Oh, this is Jan. This is they haven't done this for 2 or 3 years. Now, Prague is the only bridge in the world that still has gas lights. Now, they turn them on automatically, but during the festive season for, you know, like a couple of weeks, he was out there turning them, lighting them by hand. And this was the first night, and I wanted to get this shot, and I'm really stoked. It's exactly what I wanted. I had a couple of friends say to me, oh yeah, it would have been better without all those people there. But actually that's what I wanted, because it was a celebration of the first time it had been done in like 2 or 3 years. And it was the first night of Advent. And I wanted to show the excitement of everyone out there doing it. You guys might have a different idea. My wife got a really good shot actually, which was just him. But for the story that I wanted to tell, this was the frame. And in fact, he hunted me down and sent me an email and invited us to go to the Gaslight Museum. And such a wonderful man. And he's massive. He's like 6'8" or something. So, you know, a little bit of street photography. Again, look at the colors dropping off beautifully underneath the bridge. Just always got to be aware of something that's there. And you know, it's a little bit of graffiti. It would be kind of cool to have a couple there doing the same pose, but you know, is that a little bit too cheesy? I don't know. It's up to you. Photography is all in your own heart. It's not up to me to tell you what to do. It's not up to anyone really to judge your work. If you love your photography and if you love that image that you've taken, that's great. I'm not in love with this shot, but I certainly don't hate it. It's also healthy to not like some of your work too, because as I've said 100 times, success only comes from failure. Unless you fail in your photography, you're never going to learn from it. Now, this is from the same church or basilica from before. This is there's a bone church here, but you're not allowed to actually take photographs in there. So this is one of the sculptures outside, which is pretty cool. Again, you know, you can see the light, the way that it just drifts through there, and beautiful camera and sensor and lenses. You know, a little bit of architectural stuff going on here. You know, you just see something, shoot it. You know, this is not what I do. I do not do photographs like this. I do things blowing up and fight scenes and work on movie sets. This for me is very relaxing. It's like cooking. I get lost in it. I come back and I share it on Facebook with my family and friends who are, you know, my wife's family live in Berlin, Leonina and Melvin, and we don't get to see them very often. And my sister Jody, she lives in New York. My mum and dad, Carol and Warren, they live in Western Australia in Perth, and of course Maria and Hunter and I, we live on the Gold Coast in Australia, and we're on the road the whole time. So, you know, it's just sharing. Now, I love a good chemtrail. The Planet probably doesn't, but they always make great photographs. Again, when you're doing something like this, you expose for the sky and let everything else, you know, drift off. I could have gone a little bit more silhouette on this, but I didn't. Again, you've got your EVF. There's no experimentation. You're seeing exactly what you want with your own eyes. You are part of the machine. You and the camera are a team together. You are the boss. You tell the camera what to do. Don't let the camera tell you what to do. Oh, here you go. He was back at Chesky, and this was interesting actually, because my son and I were walking around town, and then all of a sudden the sun popped late in the afternoon, and we rushed from the church that you can see there up to the hill, and unfortunately it looked much better than what it came out, and it didn't even work really well on color, but we experienced the chase. We saw the light and we went to chase it, and it is beautiful light. There's no denying that, but it didn't quite work out, or didn't translate exactly the way that we wanted it. But we had a great adventure finding it. And you know, I mean, that's why try and make an image like this on a phone. I mean, you know, get a camera, get a Nikon ZFC, get a Z50, get, you know, a Z6 II. There's bound to be some amazing new cameras coming out with the new Z9 technology. Look at this. Look at this beautiful camera. It's again, I'm in love. It's gorgeous. Okay, so you know, again, think of things like, you know, framing, looking through things always works. That's the same light. Kind of popped a little bit better from that angle there for us. Again, you know, pick little bits for foreground and let it drift off and show the story. Go and see this village, because it's absolutely beautiful. This was actually probably my favorite shot of the day, and it was leaving. The sun just popped through, and there's the I think, was that the church up on the hill? And all of a sudden the light just popped through, and it's all these lines and shadows and all this crazy stuff going on. And I'm standing in the middle of the walkway, and everyone's just like looking at me like, get out of the way. And it's like, sorry, light. So more tram stuff. This is actually if you turn right there, you're over the Charles Bridge, and turn left, you go into the town square. And where I'm staying is just about 100 meters towards me, so to speak. Chemtrail again, you can see with the silhouette, works great. Expose for the chemtrail, and let everything else drop off. Just photography is all about experimentation, and there is no rules in photography. Absolutely zero rules. The rules are zero, big fat zero. It's you do what you want to do, and just get creative. This one's in there just for the light again, of just showing the detail of how it picks up the greens and the whites and the brown of the building, and everything just drifting off. It's really, really very cool. And I really like this. Is one of my faves too, actually. Now, just you've got all the curves and the lines, and there's no traffic, and that bike lane to nowhere. Now, I don't know, but if you go left to right or right to left, you hit a wall and a barrier, and if you ride down the middle, you're in the middle of the tram track. So I'm not really sure about that one. I think that'd be a good postcard because it's kind of confusing. Now, this one, I waited for a month for this. I saw the moon one morning, and I was too late. I'm like, damn it, I have to wait a month. So I did wait a month, and this is with my ZFC with the 70-200. And so that's the 300 mil on the 200N. And just you can see all the little crosses and everything through there, silhouetted and, exposed for the moon, which would be the right thing to do. And I'm kind of happy with that shot, actually. I mean, it works in color, but, you could mess around with it, change color of the sky, blue or a little bit more orange, a little bit warmer. But I kind of like it in mono. In fact, I went back and had another look at it, and that's one I like the most. Now, this is up on the tower from Charles Bridge, looking back towards the square. And now this in mono looked really good, but it burnt out too much down the bottom right here. So that's something that's and that's probably because of my red filter. I'm not really sure. I'll show you the setup that I have, but people that know much better than me at all this sort of stuff will be able to help me and help you guys too in the comments section below. But there's just so much going on. It's just, get high, always look for a vantage point, look for somewhere a little bit different to what people go to and do. This is the perfect place to use the platypod because you can just plonk it down, set the timer to 2 seconds. So press a button so then you don't get any shake. That's actually a really, that's probably the best tip that I'll give you for when you're doing these sorts of things. It's not massive like a tripod, and you can get really low on the ground, especially, if you've got a little bit of water and you want reflections and stuff like that. You can put this, because it's metal, right in the middle of the water, no problem. And your camera's like this far off the ground, off the water. It's beautiful. It's a great thing to do. Now this, okay, I've said it twice already, is one of my favorite shots. I think this actually is my favorite shot. This was halfway up the tower, and I wanted it a bit dirty. I love a dirty frame. If you have a look at my Instagram and you have a look at my action photography, you'll see that I like foreground. I like things a little bit dirty. Again, I'm not an artist. I'm a storyteller. And on the left here is, in fact, it's both through glass, but on the left had a little bit of fog on it. So yeah, again, look for those little things, because a lot of people just walk right past that window because it's tiny. It's like this big, maybe a little bit bigger. And it's like, oh, what a bummer. You can't look through there, or you can't open it and get a clean shot. You don't need a clean shot. You can get a shot like this. And I think that, talks. I might have to have a look at this one in color again, actually. I wonder what that's like. And then this is just the Lennon wall, just to show you the color and, storytelling. People with their phones out, taking selfies and stuff like that. And, just taking photographs on a phone is just taking photographs. When you pull out a camera, you're making photographs. You're actually doing some work, and you're learning something. You're learning something about light. Again, you know, this camera is great anywhere. This is an anonymous bar here in Prague. Crazy little place. This is with a 28 2.8. You know, it's a great camera to take to parties with, you know, friends and stuff like that. Put away the phone, pull out the camera, and I've been doing a lot of photographs at our parties. Obviously, I can't show you because there's people that I can't. You know, I mean, this is another bar. This is the blue light bar on the other side of the bridge, and it's a really cool spot actually. And this is the color. It worked better with the color for some reason on this. I showed you a black and white one before of this same spot, and it's a pretty groovy place actually. And there's my wife Maria, and this is in a little alley up on the hill there, near the castle, and that was on the 24 to 120 f4. Awesome lens, and there you go. You know, the stained glass in the church again. It's you know, you got to expose for it. I could have darkened maybe with a ND grad in post the right hand side, but you know, as I said, it's not my forte. It's not my thing. I'm a bit terrible at Photoshop, to tell you the truth. So I try and get it right in camera, which is a really good tip. Try and get it right in camera, so then you don't have to mess around with it so much later. And that's about it. So that's done for some photos. So if you're still with me, because that went on forever, didn't it? I'm going to take you in to do some settings and show you my basic settings, and hopefully they work for you. I know that if nothing else, it'll let you know that you're on the right path for things. There'll be lots of other things that you guys need and use, which I don't use, but this is a very basic setup, and I'm just going to show you some things that will make the camera work faster. It'll make some things work better. Like I turn off nearly everything. Even on my Z9, everything is off. And be the camera, be part of the camera, be the boss, be a team. All right, let's get into the settings. Okay, so let's have a look at the menu system. Now, we've got playback menu, you've got your standard delete. You just double click on the trash bin up the top there on the top left, next to the play button. Playback options, display. You can display, you know, like you got your focus point, have a play around with it, all the different things. And, you know, I have, I don't have everything set on it. And where have we got here? Picture of view. I have picture of view off because it's just annoying. For me, you might want to rotate tall. I have that off because I want to see, I would rather turn the camera sideways and see the image larger. Slideshow, I don't use that, but that's pretty cool actually. And the ratings, you can set your ratings so you can edit in the camera. Okay, the photo shooting menu. As you can see here, like with storage folders, I rename all of mine to do with myself, right? So JB, Jason Boland, and this is my ZFC. So that's what that would be. And, you know, with my other cameras, if I have multiple cameras, I name them A, B, C, D, whichever. So it's actually a good thing if you do have multiple cameras, because if there's a problem with a card or an issue with something else, you can sit there and you know exactly where it's come from and you can isolate it quite easily. File naming, ZFC, so I know what it's with. Choose the image area. Well, you've got DX obviously and 1:1 square, you know, for your instas, and 16:9, which is a little bit cinematographic, so to speak. Image quality, I only ever shoot RAW. I'm going to leave you at RAW. I don't see any reason to shoot JPEG. You might want to shoot RAW and JPEG. You're probably not going to be using this for a work camera. You're going to be using this for fun and street and holidays and that sort of stuff. So shoot RAW. You know, you can retrieve an image a long way in RAW. You know, 1 to 2 stops. Any little mistakes you make, you know, you can fix it. Even white balance. And you know, when you've got the color profile set on mono, you can retrieve all that info as well. Now, this is the big thing for me. A lot of people go straight to 14-bit because boom, it's like this is the fastest, bestest, greatest thing in the world. It might be for color. I couldn't see a difference. I don't care about color as much as what I probably should. I care more about the image. And if you put it on 12-bit, it is going to turbocharge this camera. It does with all the 6.2s, the 7.2s, the 6, 7, 5, the 50, but it doesn't with the Z9. The Z9 is the holy grail. It's a completely beast of its own, and it's always shooting in 14-bit, and it doesn't need turbocharging, trust me. ISO settings, I always have ISO sensitivity off. For video and stuff like that, it is actually helpful because people can, you don't want any aperture or depth of field shift and things like that. I've got the ISO I change on top of the camera, but you can do it here in the camera in the photo shooting menu. White balance, I've got it set on auto at the moment because it's my little holiday camera. Normally I would have that, I'd be setting the Kelvin to what I feel is right or what is going to set my color at work. Now, this is the thing. This is my mono, right? So we go over here and we've got like quit sharp. I try not to have too much sharpening. Mid-range, in fact, I'm going to bring that mid-range down. Clarity, I'll keep up a little bit. Contrast, normal. Filter effects, I've got a red, so you can have yellow, orange, red or green or off. I have mine set on red just because I really like what it does to the sky. So yeah, that's my mono. You got portrait, you got landscape, you got vivid, neutral, standard, and auto. On my big cameras, on my work cameras, I have them set to standard. Like everyone will tell you, the only difference is in NX Studio. If you make the change into Photoshop or Capture One or something like that, it doesn't retain those settings. So you actually have to save it or export it in NX Studio, and those settings will be retained there. But it's really good is like, what I love about it is on this setting is through the monitor is black and white. So like I said, it's like I'm already looking at a black and white frame that's been printed. So it's really cool. So what do we got? Manage picture control. You can save and edit them and load them for another camera, or just save them for another day when you might have made a mistake, or if you've got to reset the camera, you can come back to those settings. Not every setting changes back, but all the important ones. The color space, sRGB. That's the standard. You guys probably know more about it than what I do, but I know that printers have more chance of replicating your colors if you're in sRGB, to make it simple. Active delighting, I turn that off. Long exposure, I turn off. High noise ISO. I was showing someone that the other day. I have that turned off. I have everything turned off pretty much, because you can make these changes back in Studio NX if you've been shooting RAW. There's another person that says that he shoots RAW, and he's right. Shoot RAW. He knows what he's talking about. The vignette control, same thing. Turn that off. Diffraction compensation, I turn that off. Flicker reduction. Now, flicker reduction, there's times when you need it, depending on the hertz of the lights. You might get a little bit of flicker. Try turning that on and off. If there's really, really cheap lights, LEDs, there's nothing you can do about it. It's going to do that. Luckily for me, I'm on film sets where the lights are really expensive, to tell you the truth, and everything for me is lucky. But for this camera, you might be in an alleyway, you might get some flicker, and you might get some stripes and that. To fix the whole stripy thing, they call that banding. If you've got bad lighting, well, then all you do is you just have to adjust the shutter speed. Sometimes if it's like 50 hertz or 60 hertz, it can be double that, so 100th of a second or 125th or half that. But play around. I mean, the slower the shutter speed you go, you can get rid of it. And if you're doing like, nightscapes and stuff like that, it's not going to be an issue because you're going to be shooting slow. Metering, if you do have to go to aperture and stuff like that, it's aperture priority or shutter priority. It's all in there. I will stick, this camera will never leave manual. It's as simple as that. Now, video recording, I'm actually not going to go through that because I don't know enough about it to help you. There's plenty of people that do. I do try and shoot everything at 24 frames a second though, because that's the closest to cinema. And but there's reasons for shooting 30th, and of course there's high speed like 60th, and what do we have actually? So 120p, there you go. And 100, 60th, 50, 30. Well, that's pretty good actually. 120, that's pretty rad. So you might want to have a play with that. And then you've got your slow motions, your ×4 at 30, 25, and ×5 at 24. So that's what I was saying before, at 24, give that a crack. And video type, just move. The is all I do. I'm going to go through these because it's not something that I'm going to be of any help to you whatsoever. I mean, this stuff down here though, for the frequency response for voice and wind noise and that, that is important. That's all important. You got a time code, which is really great when you're trying to sync up sound that you've done before. Now, reset custom settings. That's what we were saying before about when you want to save that profile, that you can do that. Autofocus. Now, autofocus priority. Okay, I have AFC set to release because if it's, if you're set on priority, you might as well just bang it off, right? And then the AFS I have set to focus because you're taking more time to pick it out. So you can press it and hold it, and you want it to be sharp on that point. And always focus on the eyes. If you're using manual, you can blow it in, use a focus peaking, and wherever it is the brightest, that's where it's the sharpest. Focus tracking with lock on. Now I have this set to 3 on the ZFC, but on my work cameras like the Z9, it's really, really important. Basically what it is, if you've got someone coming in front of you, you're photographing your kid at sport or something like that, you want to have it on delayed while it's tracking so it stays focused on them. Otherwise, if you set it to quick, right, as that person comes in front of your subject, your child or whatever, it is going to, down here to quick, it is going to snap focus to them. So have a play with that because it is actually an important part of the cameras. Right, so focus points used. I have it all set to all focus points because I want to be able to fine tune things. You can have every second one or whatever works for you, but store points by orientation, I have that set to know. But again, have a play with it yourself. AF activation, I have it set to shutter on. You can set it to back button, and for me, that's the way to go. Limit area mode. Right. Well, I use all of these, so I don't have anything unset. I think it's great to have all those different options. With AF people, and then the little box. I love the little box. The box is really cool, actually. All of them do. There's a focus mode on this camera for what is it, 9 modes or something, including manual, for a reason. So you have to find out what works best for what you're photographing. These cameras are not a magic wand. They need you to put the right data into it, the right information, and they'll do what they're told. Especially these cameras, a lot of the problems that I will have in any of my photography is I have put the wrong information into this or my Z9 or whatever. And then I'll look at it later. It's like, oh, damn you. Why didn't you think of that? So yeah, keep them all because there's a good reason for all of them, you know, especially things like pinpoint, when you're trying to get through bars and stuff like that, when, you know, autofocus might not quite work, or, you know, all that stuff is really worth having. Now, focus point wraparound, I set that on all of my cameras. Now, what it means is that if you're pushing the focus with the cursor on the back, the focus point, and it gets to the end, instead of stopping, it then wraps around, comes around the other side. Especially when you're in a hurry, you don't want to change your thumb and go back the other way or press the OK button to center it. I just keep going because I know where it's going. It's one of my favorite things to do, actually. So focus point options, I got the manual focus on, and dynamic area assist. I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to turn off the low light AF as well. Sometimes I might turn that on. It's helpful, but I like the camera to work as fast as possible. If you're having any issues with the focus, then you should definitely be turning them on. Don't take my word for it on that. The AF assist illuminator, that's really good, you know, if you're at a friend's party and stuff like that, and, you know, you got stuff going on. For me, I'm on a film set, so I have it turned off. But for this little camera, it's, you know, it'd be actually really, really handy to be using. And it's something that I probably should be using a little bit more. You know, I have a tendency of setting all my cameras up the same, but this little one, I'm going to be setting it up a little bit softer than what I normally would. The easy exposure compensation, I've got that on at the moment. I can turn that off. The center weight, you've got all the different sizes for the center. For the average, you know, it'll take an average of the center area, and then the other one is more closer to a spot meter, you know, like a you know, it's 8mm. Fine tune optimal exposure. I don't set any of those, but again, if this is your one camera, are you going to want to play with everything that's in here? I don't, because I just shoot manual and get away with it, because I like to use my eyes to see and feel it, and it helps me later. It's like, you know, you'll be walking down the street and you'll feel the light change and go, oh wow, look at that light. And you know what? That's because you've been using your EVF and you've seen what it can do. So, you know, shutter release button I have turned off. Self timer, I have it set for 2 seconds. You know, you can have 5, 10, 20 seconds, depending if you're running away. The 2 seconds I use for, you know, my landscapey stuff at night, just so that to get rid of any camera shake. And then same with, you know, like 5 seconds. And then the 20-second one would be you on the run, standing on the edge of that rock. And then you can also set it to, you know, up to 9 frames, so that, you know, you can do a few other poses, and it also gives you that little bit extra time to get there. And then, you know, you've got the interval between shots, which is pretty cool too. You know, half a second's probably a little bit short, unless you're doing a jump. Maybe you're like doing a jump or something like that. You know, then you'd want it, you'd want that, or running, jogging, whatever. But you've got all those options there. Power off delay. Now, I have these usually set to minimum. I have at the moment down here the standby timer set to 30 minutes and the menus to 10 minutes because I'm doing the video. Otherwise, I would have that. I'd have that on minimum, so that I'm saving as much battery power. Now, the low mode, I always have that just set to 3. You can set it to whatever you want. Maximum shots in a burst, have it at the maximum, because you don't want the buffer filling up and stopping and slowing down and missing that shot. So, you know, always have as much as you can. Exposure delay mode, I don't use that, but I know a lot of guys that do with these cameras. I don't have a use for it. Now, the shutter type, auto. I don't use it on auto, and whenever I can, I shoot on mechanical shutter with the ZFC, except for when you go into silent mode and you want to be quiet. Then it's no mechanical shutter. With the mechanical shutter, that helps get rid of any banding in the crappy light, in the cheap LEDs, and it also stops the jello effect if you got a tennis racket or a golf club or something like that. That's when you want to go to mechanical shutter. Mechanical shutter is really good. The refresh rate in the Nikon Z9 doesn't need a mechanical shutter. There's no shutter in it. It's absolutely amazing. And all that stuff's going to trickle down to us all in these smaller cameras, in the enthusiast cameras further down the track. The extended shutter speeds, that's really good, especially for the guys that are doing the long exposures at night, and I guess astro and star trails. Again, I don't do that stuff. Will Eady's, send him an email. He'll help you with that. Right, file number sequence. That's all standard, exactly what you want. Apply settings to live view. Now, applying settings to live view is you getting to see what is in the viewfinder, right? So the exposure is live. It's happening as you change the shutter and the aperture. The reason to turn that off is in super low light. If you can't see and you're shooting manual, you can then it turns it on to just gives you all the light that you can possibly have, and you can see in the dark like a cat full of carrots, like all Nikons do. Now the framing grid, I have it 3x3, but you can have 4:4 and off, as you can see there. Focus peaking, I've got it set to level 2. I'm actually going to put it to 3. This is really, really helpful. I've been using my Z6 IIs for my crash cameras, and when I do remote work, I don't use autofocus. I use manual, so I'm really able to see what areas are in focus, and it'll show you. It's incredible. Have a check out yourself. Whatever is the brightest and the strongest, that's the sharpest point. But wherever the red is, or whatever color you've chosen, you've got red or yellow, blue, and white. That also shows what is in focus. Not going to be as exact as sharp as the highlighted area, but it will show you how much depth that you do have. View all in continuous mode. I have that on. That gets rid of some of the blackout, so to speak, and you're able to follow the action better. Flash sync. I don't use flash. This is a camera that you can use flash with, absolutely no problem whatsoever. Speak to Mark Watson or Rocco and Cora about flash sync because they know all about it. Customize iMenu. This is like the iMenu is like flight check on an airplane. It's awesome because you can set all your stuff up. Like I've got mine silent, so you can turn silent on or off. Set picture control, so go straight in there. So you've got all these different settings. I'll show you where mine is, but this is what I've got at the moment. So you got silent, or you turn it on and off. Set picture control, which helps you get straight into that menu that I showed you before, so that you can change the mono or back to color or whatever. Focus peaking, custom controls. There's not a great deal of custom controls in the ZFC. It'd be nice if there was more. I'd love to see a dedicated button for the virtual horizon, for example. But at the moment, there's only a few options, and one of them that I use is the function one I use for the grid. You got your release mode, the timers. That's what I was saying before. When you want to do 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or single frame or burst frame, that sort of stuff. The area mode. This is also a good one as well. The area mode is for focus, so that's those different modes that I was telling you about. Whether it be auto area or the dynamic or the square with the human detect and the animal detect, and down to pinpoint and stuff like that. I think pinpoint only works with the manual, or one of them does anyway. So autofocus and manual. You got a vibration reduction there for your lenses that do that, and it's you have an electronic time-lapse video. I've got that set there for you guys because I thought it'd be really cool for if I ever get to use it. And the interval timer shoot. Now image quality, I'm just going to have it set to RAW. Simple as that. I don't see any reason to change that. White balance, again, like I told you, on this camera I have it set to auto most of the time, but you can change it to other things. Custom controls. Well, there's your controls there, you know, which you can get to into your iMenu. So now this is one here that I set on the lenses. I don't like the buttons to do too much. You know, you've got very few things that you can change in the ZFC on that anyway. I have on my other cameras, I have it set to virtual horizon because I love that. Now the lens control ring, I have it set off. Now you can set it to exposure compensation, you can set it to aperture, and you can set it to manual and autofocus. Now I see a lot of people that have it on manual and autofocus, and then they complain later that they're in autofocus and the camera's out of focus. Now what they've done, not all of them, but what a lot of people have done is accidentally bumped the focus ring. And then when you bump the focus ring, it takes you off autofocus and puts it into manual focus. And then that's where quite a few problems are coming from people that are not used to using that, especially on the 70 to 200, 2.8 and the 24 to 70. Anyway, you can also set it to aperture, which is beautiful if you are shooting video, because you can do this beautiful drift with the exposure. So, you know, without really seeing it too much, and you know, it's not third stops, it's like micro stops. So, you know, that's really good. And auto exposure compensation, turn that off for now until you get used to it. And then custom controls and playback, you know, same sort of thing. You can change where things are, but I just keep it standard. You know, have a play, go through, do exactly what I'm doing, go through every single thing on this menu, and you know, it'd be great. So you can reverse, you can, you know, change main and sub and reverse things. You can change, for example, if you don't like the aperture at the front, you want it at the back, you can change that and put the shutter in the front. You know, there's so many options that you can do with these cameras. It's absolutely unbelievable. The reverse indicators, you can change them if you've come from a different system. The customize iMenu, this has now gone into video. We're going to skip through that because I'm no help, obviously. Although things like the AF speed, that is really important, because if you've got a photographing or filming someone here and you are using autofocus, not manual, and you drift over to someone there, you don't want it to snap. You want it to just drift sensitively, I guess. And you know, same with that's same as with the AF tracking sensitivity as well. So yes, they are very important when you're doing video, and you should play around with them to see what works best for you. It really does make a difference. Format memory card, don't need to tell you anything about that. Language, it'd be good if you could have it in 2 languages if you spoke 2 languages, right? But you can't. I always set the time zone. Monitor brightness, now don't put it on auto. A lot of people put the monitor and the viewfinder on auto, and then they get back and they complain about that the images didn't look like, the exposure wasn't right. Sometimes in really dark areas, you know, in dark spaces, so to speak, I will turn the monitor down, the brightness down in both the monitor and the viewfinder, just so that I've got a little bit more exposure, then a little bit more forgiving for me. I think it's my eyes as they're getting older. It's like I see a little bit more dull. Monitor color balance, that's something that for you guys might use. I don't use it because unfortunately or fortunately, I don't really think too much about color. I think more about the photograph, and you know, if you got a color problem, you can fix that later because you shot raw, right? And also the monitor and the viewfinder brightness, you know, like when you're on the beach, you know, just set it to exactly, you know, you'll get the used to it after a couple of times and you'll figure it out. Mine, as you can see, is set to 0 at the moment, but, you know, I do change them, and you'll figure out what to do. Yeah, so limit monitor selection, I can't use that at the moment. The information display, I have mine dark on light. You can have light on dark, obviously. the AF fine tuning options. Now, I have never used this, but I know people that live by it, and especially, you know, older lenses and stuff like that. It's really, really helpful. I'm a bit scared to use it, to be honest. I don't want to mess things up, so I just let it be how it is. In the old days, I used to get Nikon to calibrate it for me, but not anymore. I don't really have any issue. You can plug in your non-CPU lens data. That's really, really helpful, especially with all those old lenses. And like, you know, you can use all the old lenses, you know, right back to the beginning of F-mount on here and get some really funky old oyster shell lenses. And honestly, this camera is just beautiful for being able to play around with everything. So get one of these and then start collecting old lenses and just have a blast, honestly. Save focus position, I have that set off, but again, you can do that. Image dust off reference photo, I've never used it. I know that you guys do, and I probably should use it. Pixel mapping, I don't pixel map either. I'm pretty sure that's for, you know, if you get a hot spot, you can get rid of that. Image comment, I always have that on, and the copyright information as well. If for nothing else, for example, I have my email address. Now, you might lose your camera and someone gets into it, and hey, bingo, you got your email address, and someone can send you a message and, hey, buddy, found your camera. Give me $50 and it's yours. So same thing with the copyright information. I just only ever do my email address. Beep options, I have them off. Touch controls I have turned on for here. Self-portrait mode on. HDMI, I never use it. Airplane mode I have turned on because it's better for the power, and I'm not connecting to anything. But if you do, you need to turn it off. See, look, so disable, and then connect to smart device, and all the options are back there then. So that's a power saving part. Connect to computer, that's off as well. But you know, it's still great for you know, connecting to your being able to connect to SnapBridge into your phone and stuff like that. You know, it's really, really cool. USB power delivery for charging. No more chargers. Happy days. Energy saving mode, always got that for me. I like to get as much out of a battery, and like I just run around and take photos, and I don't really chimp at the back until I get back and download. Now this one, the slot empty lock release, I hope you've stayed here to the end. Turn that on, because that means that if you haven't got a card in there, it will not take a photograph. I've seen so many people that have enabled it to be able to release, which I have no idea why you'd want to have it set to release. But if you have the lock on, if there's no card, it will not fire, and you will have not lost anything. Save and load menu settings. I just used this for the first time on my Z9s. I took the settings from the pre-production camera that I was testing for Nikon, and I was able to load those settings into my new working bodies. Reset all settings, not going to do that because I don't need to. And firmware version, that's always important. Make sure that your firmware is up to date. It's really, really important. Nikon do an amazing job for us guys of updating the firmware. And in some cases, it's like having a brand new camera. So always check that your firmware is up to date. And I can't stress it enough. A lot of other camera manufacturers do not bother with this. And if they do, it's only for a massive issue or problem they have. Nikon are doing it not for issues and problems. They might be for little bugs, but they're doing it to improve your camera. And in the case of the Z6 II, it was literally like getting a brand new camera. Anyone else would have come out with a Z6 III and made you buy a new camera. Nikon gave it to us for free. They continue to do it. They update on the information that we give them, and it's a tribute to the respect that they have for us guys as and girls as Nikon users. So firmware version, make sure it's up to date because it's important. Right, and then now we just have a retouch menu, which you can do all these retouches in the camera, which is pretty damn cool. The only one I've ever done is trim, just to show someone if I did a really sloppy frame. You got all your monochromes, you got overlay images, you can trim video. That's pretty cool actually, especially if you're running out of card space and you want to keep the video, but you've got some gunk either side of it, you can trim it and get that space back. Trimming, resize image, all this stuff, especially if you're sending it straight to SnapBridge, and you want to upload it, you can do that straight away. And then you've got the My Menu, which I don't use, but it's just like, you got so much control over this camera. Anyhow, I've spoken way too much, and you probably used me as a podcast to get to sleep. But this is the ZFC. Again, love this little baby. I hope you guys like it. Well, team, that's it. The Nikon ZFC. Hope there's a few things that worked for you there. If there's any questions, leave them in the comment section below. And any tips for me too. I'm always open and want to learn new things. Like I said, I keep things very, very basic. Shoot manual. Just shoot manual. You'll learn more about light shooting manual than any other way. Anyway, if it was any help, if you guys could ding the bell and you get notified next time I got something up, and subscribe. I'd really like to hit 10K actually. A bit out of my dream reality, but I'm doing this to show my son that if you set your mind to something, you can do it. So send the message to him, not to me. All right, have a great day, and thanks for watching. Cheers.